In tonight's program, we look at the cornerstone of estate planning, that is the will. What needs to be in place for it to be legitimate? Under what circumstances can it be challenged? And who has the right to challenge it? Later on in the program, we reveal how not every dream job offer is what it initially appears to be. Welcome to First Issues. Welcome back to the program. At this time of the year, sound money management is a major talking point for most people, seeing that January can be a tough month financially for the many that overcommit and overspend in the excitement of the festive season. Many of you watching right now have probably made it a top priority to get your finances in order this year, especially if there was some mismanagement this past year. But financial planning is more than just about realistically assessing your current financial status, setting short-term goals, and drawing up that much-needed budget. We must all have mid- and long-term goals that guide us to the future we're working towards. This includes ensuring the assets you accumulate, protecting yourself and your family from disability and loss of income, and saving and investing for retirement, among other things. One aspect that probably gets overlooked in the renewing energy of the new year with all its possibilities is protecting those you love and all you have accumulated at the time of your death, an event none of us can foretell. But whether your untimely end is minutes, months, or decades from now, sound estate planning will ensure that those you do leave behind get what you intend for them, as opposed to having to fight legal and other nasty battles during their time of grief. The cornerstone of estate management is the will, and Kamagalo Paulo of Sekhuku Attorneys explains what exactly a will is and what needs to be in place for it to be considered legitimate.
A will is basically where an individual above the age of 16 actually writes or communicates that they want to leave certain assets of theirs to certain people or distribute their estate once they have passed on. A will is made valid by the individual, that is, we usually call them the testator, is the person writing the will or making the will. It's according to the Wills Act. The Wills Act is the one that lists actually the formalities and the requirements for a valid will. It's section 4 of the Wills Act. It states that the person, for starters, to institute a valid will, you need to be age 16 and above. That is called the testamentary capacity, and have the mental capacity to make the will. That is, people who are mentally disabled cannot, would be considered that they didn't make a valid will. If you're intoxicated, let's say drugs, alcohol or that, it would be considered that when you made that will, it was invalid and it would be revoked.
Our guest says that this measure you take to protect your assets can, however, be challenged in certain circumstances. So for peace of mind, due diligence must be exercised.
A will can be challenged for so many reasons, but the ones that come to head are undue influence. Undue influence is where you, for example, decided to make a will, and then your children told you, please give me this much, give me this much in the will, and you had no particular say. You were influenced by external forces to make that will and to apportion the beneficiaries in the way you've apportioned them. Then that's when people can actually say, no, he was unduly influenced into making certain decisions about the will and putting whatever it is he put in the will. Also, it can be as a result of a mistake. Mistakes happen. You can write this when you wanted to give, for example, Thabo and Kaho. When you wanted to give Thabo the house, and then you listed that Thabo's mama should get the house, and people know those are the characteristics of Thabo, but when in actual effect you had written Kaho, then people can say no, but it was a mistake. He actually wanted to give it to Kaho instead of Thabo. That's a mistake. And also you can challenge it in terms of the formalities, that the formalities weren't followed. Usually in a will, you're supposed to be, as I was saying, above 16 of requisite capacity, or having the mental capacity to execute the will. Secondly, you're supposed to have 2 witnesses to your will. And those 2 witnesses are not supposed to be beneficiaries in the will. They do not benefit in the will. So if you want anyone else to benefit in the will, you cannot put them as your witnesses. Your wife cannot be your witness or anything like that. That's why usually people appoint lawyers and other people like that.
Having heard all of that, you may be wondering who does and who does not have the right to challenge a will.
Usually we say that the person who can challenge a will is the one who has interest in, for example, the estate is usually the person who can challenge the will. The spouse can challenge a will. We usually say that someone has to have locus standi, that is, they have to have a legal basis, a legal standing as to why they're challenging that will. A person from outside or from the street cannot come and say, I'm challenging Retebe's will. It's not possible. They have to have a direct interest in the estate and in the decisions that were made.
What if someone with direct interest in the testator's estate is not included in the will? Do they have the right to challenge it as well?
A spouse can actually challenge a will. The children can challenge a will. The heirs can challenge a will. If, for example, you weren't married, your parents can challenge the will. Your uncles can challenge the will. Certain things. Usually, when you're not married, the link goes further, because if you are married, it's your spouse. But then if you're not married, it can be your mother, your father, your siblings can actually challenge it. Your uncles, if you're close, they can challenge it. So it goes further and further. If you have been disinherited from a will, no, because inheriting is not a right. It's basically, I would say, for lack of a better term, it's a privilege. You only hope that you inherit, but if you don't, you're disinherited, there's not much you can do.
That concludes our first discussion this evening. Up next, we discuss different forms of recruitment fraud. Welcome back to First Issues. As to begin our second segment, we present 2 scenarios. In the first is a graduate who has spent days that rolled into weeks, which rolled into months, and eventually several years, pounding the pavement, scouring newspapers, and surfing the web, fruitlessly looking for a job, who has now decided to cast her net wider and explore opportunities further afield. In the second is a high-flying young executive who has achieved a significant amount of success in a relatively short space of time, and being at the pinnacle of their field, is now looking beyond the borders of Botswana for a bigger and better challenge. Despite the disparity in their circumstances, both our figurative examples face a common threat: unscrupulous individuals who take a variety of forms in order to take advantage of their ambition. Piggybacking on the emotions evoked by mental images of thriving metropolises and glittering financial, technological, and cultural hubs such as Dubai, New York, London, and others. Places that can appear more and more attractive as unemployment and educational troubles grow in our own small corner of the earth. Whether you're looking for a better life as a childminder, a laborer, or even an engineer or computer scientist, our guests this evening say extreme caution must be exercised before you pack up, take your children out of school, and sell everything in response to a dream job offer in another country. Our guests say there is a multi-billion-dollar industry ran by people who go to extreme lengths to deceive job seekers. This fraud is committed for anything from stealing your personal details and money to more sinister ends such as to traffic job seekers to forced labor camps, prostitution rings, or even to places where their organs are harvested, the equivalent of modern-day slavery. How do you determine if a dream job offer or advert from another country is legitimate? Madods Leslie Nasha, Deputy Manager of the Trafficking in Persons Unit at the Ministry of Defence, Justice and Security, as well as Kate Harriman of Consumer Watchdog Botswana, share their findings.
I always say whenever I conduct trainings to people who attend that you should be able to gauge to see if something is too good to be true. And if it is too good to be true, it almost always is too good to be true. But you need to engage the relevant actors. If it is a job that is recruiting you locally or internationally, you need to find out from the relevant authorities. For example, if I get a job offer from country X, I will find out if there is diplomatic representation in the Republic of Botswana for country X. You can approach the embassies, you can approach the high commissions, and talk to staff at these organizations to see if they are aware of these institutions or these job offers. Because remember, it's not only vacancies, job vacancies, but sometimes they use opportunities, study opportunities, fake study opportunities. Approach these embassies, approach these high commissions and find out if they have any further information or ways in which they can confirm if these jobs are true or if the organizations that are recruiting you actually exist. We also have the Ministry of International Affairs and Cooperation. What do they have to say about it? What does the Ministry of Defense and Justice and Security have to say about it? Meaning us, what do we have to say about it? How can we assist you? And also, figure out if the websites that you engage in are legitimate. For example, if you get an email, for example, from the government of Botswana, you know our website is www.gov.bw. Does the website that is written in your job offer, does it say www.29?bw.gov? Does it look weird? You understand? Are you being redirected to a site that is under the control of traffickers? So these are the small signs that you have to look out for. Also, you need to look out for telephone numbers. Do the telephone numbers exist? Is the country code that they have put there, does it actually exist? Sometimes they make silly errors. They might put a Botswana country code for a job offer that's in the US, for example, or the US country code for a job offer that's in New Zealand. You understand? So it's the small little tiny things, details that you need to check.
The first question to ask yourself is, does it sound too good to be true? Why would a hotel in America or in the States or in the UK be asking for a receptionist? That's not how hotels would recruit. The world is shutting down their borders at the moment. You look what's going on. There is unemployment globally. Why would someone from the UK be recruiting a cleaner or a receptionist from Botswana? It doesn't happen. It's too good to be true. Ask yourself why a hotel would be advertising in Botswana. They wouldn't. And if the email came to you without you soliciting, i.e. without you actually applying, why would a random stranger send you a random email saying, would you like a job? Congratulations, we're going to pay you 50,000 pulu a month. It's too good to be true. Life isn't that easy. You need to do your research. So look up the information from the email you've got. So if it's a hotel, does the address actually correspond? Look at the phone number. So Google search yourself, do a Google search for that hotel and check that the information's correct. Often we find when we do a Google search for the address given that it's actually somewhere completely different. For example, we actually had someone send through a travel agent scam. And when I Google searched, the address given was 5 minutes from where my parents live and I know the road. And I'm like, really? This is not true. So I think in short, you need to do your background research. Ask yourself why someone would be recruiting you from here. Is the salary reasonable for the job that's being offered? Look up the information on the company. How did it come to you in the first place? As I said, 99.9% of times it's a scam.
Thank you for staying with us as we continue to discuss different types of recruitment fraud with the help of Madods Nasha from the Ministry of Defence, Justice and Security, as well as Kate Harriman of Consumer Watchdog Botswana. Mr. Nasha details some of the interventions the ministry has initiated to protect local job seekers and facilitators from participating in this type of exploitation.
In the ministry, we had a meeting with recruitment agencies, I believe it was maybe 2 weeks ago, where we informed them that of issues of human trafficking. And we also informed them that although that they may not be participating in issues of human trafficking, they may be duped into committing human trafficking. For example, if there is another recruitment agency that comes from a different country and comes to a recruitment agency here in the Republic of Botswana and say, excuse us, can you assist us to recruit young Botswana to go and work in maybe in country X and provide a service? Well, that service could be anything. It could be speech writing, it could be anything. But then that company that comes to Botswana is one that knows full well that by recruiting Botswana in Botswana and taking them to another country, they're going to exploit them. This is not information that might be known by a recruitment agency in Botswana. So by raising the levels of awareness with recruitment agencies in Botswana, we are building capacity for them to be able to protect themselves against being exploited by dubious recruitment agencies that might come from a different country. Now we need to talk about also proceeds, because I believe that if you are a recruitment agency and you inadvertently recruit Botswana to go and work in other countries for the purposes of exploitation, you get paid for it. So in my view and in the view of government, that is a proceed of crime. It is illegal profits. So in that instance, we were building the capacity of recruitment agencies to be conscious about these pitfalls.
As we come to the end of our conversation, Kate Harriman gives us a few pointers to help us all safely explore international job and study opportunities.
Our advice is to always be skeptical. Just because something's written down or because somebody says something doesn't make it true. So when it comes to recruitment, yes, you're absolutely right. People are desperate for work and they'd like the opportunity to travel. Ask yourself, how do normal companies, professional companies recruit? Do they send random emails to strangers saying, congratulations, you've got a job? That isn't how recruitment happens. Even recruitment agencies don't send emails to people saying, send your CV and some information and we'll give you a job. That isn't how it works. And unfortunately, life isn't that simple. We are hearing from many consumers who've been scammed or attempted to be scammed in terms of recruitment. The latest one we had was actually a link to a romantic scam. And this was a woman who'd met a guy on Facebook and they'd chit-chatted, they'd fallen in love, they'd developed a relationship on Facebook. And then he'd said to her, I'm going to ask my friend who owns a hotel in the UK to give you a job. So she then gets an email from this fictitious hotel. Please send your CV and we'd love to give you a job. Now this is the beginning of what's called a 419 advance fee scam. So in other words, we're going to try and get some money from you in order to offer you, in order to do that, we're going to offer you something you want. So the hotel then come back to the customer saying, congratulations, we're going to give you a job. And we're going to pay you £5,000 a month, whatever it was. And we're going to pay, they said 70% of your airfare and your visa fees. But you've got to pay the other 30%. So in order to qualify for the job, you need to send us X amount. Not via a bank, you need to send it via a money transfer service. That isn't how the world works. Reasonable employers do not ask people to either pay an application fee to apply for a job or to pay transport costs to get to the job. They will, if they're actually recruiting overseas, they will pay for you to go to them, not the other way around. So be skeptical. Never send money to somebody that you don't know before you've checked them out. If you're not sure, come through to Consumer Watchdog. We get emails from every day from people saying, is this a scam? And 99.9% of the time it is a scam and we write back to the consumer saying, please do not send money. So don't believe things just because they're written down. Don't believe emails just because they're sent. There is a huge amount of cybercrime going on. There are people trying to cheat you out of your money, pretending to be your bank. They're trying to fish. You know about phishing. It's about asking you to provide information that they can use to commit financial fraud or to defraud you with your trying to get your PIN number or your ID for your banking. Be skeptical and don't just believe things because people say it.
If, for example, you weren't married, your parents can challenge the will, your uncles can challenge the will, you know, certain things.
If you are a recruitment agency and you inadvertently recruit Botswana to go and work in other countries for the purposes of exploitation, you get paid for it. So in my view, and in the view of government, that is a proceed of crime.
The first question to ask yourself is, does it sound too good to be true? Why would a hotel in America or in the States or in the UK be asking for a receptionist? That's not how hotels would recruit. The world is shutting down their borders at the moment. You look what's going on. There is unemployment globally. Why would someone from the UK be recruiting a cleaner or a receptionist from Botswana?
What do you make of all that was shared this evening? Let's continue the conversation via social media till we present more issues of interest next week. Do know that you can help to contribute to the growth of this program by participating in our ongoing First Issues poll on Facebook. To do so, simply visit the First Issues Facebook page, click on the link to the poll, and answer a few questions. If you experience problems accessing the poll through the link, simply send us an inbox on the page indicating your desire to contribute your feedback. Thereafter, we'll send you a series of questions to determine the frequency with which you watch the program, your opinions regarding our content and delivery, and suggested recommendations. Your feedback as we draw to the end of yet another successful season can only guarantee that we continue to bring you better and more relevant content season after season. Thank you for continuing to give us your time and attention and coming along on this journey to help us provide quality homegrown content. Starting next week, we resume our practice of rewarding those of our viewers who write in with the most engaging commentary. All the more reason for you to write into us. With that, it's a good night from me, Madods Leslie Nasha, and the First Issues team.